the year just started off and schools will be starting tomorrow. Are schools ready for the 2023 academic year?
So thank you very much. Yes, I just want to state that I wish to remind our listeners and viewers that we have 2 semesters. The first semester for learners starts on Wednesday 11th, which is tomorrow, and it consists of 96 teaching days. There will be a midterm break and a few public school holidays in between. But tentatively we have 96 school days that we have to focus on. Now, in terms of readiness, there are certain aspects that we need to look into. The first one is the admission for grade 1 and grade 8. That is a process that has been completed already in most of the regions September 2022. But then we also know that it's not just the logistical and administrative arrangements, there's also the human aspects of people moving and migrating and changing jobs and transferring that we need to take into account. So there are learners that do not have a space yet in some regions for grade 1. There are parents that are still disappointing that they don't have the particular school that they wish to have for their learners, for whatever reason. We must remember that schools can only take so much. But across the regions, except for in the case of Oshana, there's a possibility of looking at a platoon system where we have some learners of grade 1 attending and pre-grade or grade 1 attending in the morning and then also in the afternoon. But generally, we can safely state also in Erongo, the situation is not as bad as in previous years. A lot of investment has been made in infrastructure and the provision of teachers to all the regions have also been completed last year. I said yesterday that the appointment of teachers, 80% of the teachers are already appointed. We have in cases where you do not have Namibian teachers, which is very rare, you have to make use of either retired teachers in certain subjects like Afrikaans and Setswana. That takes a little bit longer. But generally, I think I can say for grade 1 and 8, if there are parents, which we know they will be this week, that will still be without a school, we have all the professional staff and admission committee staff back in the offices, which means that they just need to report to the regional office who are busy doing head counts. On the system, the data is being verified, but head counts will be done physically as soon as learners are in class, and that may open up some more spaces. For grade 10, 11 and AS, the NSSCO and the AS, those placements have already also been made. And we heard that in Oshana, they could not take children in the AS level from other regions. So I think the priority for every region is first to place its own children, and we should also be open to that before we can take in children from other regions and schools.
All right. Now, are there any possible education reforms to take effect, during the 2023 school year? And also, if so, how ready are the teachers? Would you say the teachers are also ready for this academic year?
So, our teachers should be ready as professional, well-trained, well-equipped teachers, being responsible for their own professional development, but also being competent in the subject field that they qualify for. They should be ready. I think we had a good break, 5 weeks break, which gave us enough time also to put things into perspective again. I think all rely also on the issue of planning. All of us have a 40-hour week. The same for the teachers. 26 hours out of the 40 hours should be for classroom contact teaching time, while the 14 remaining hours per week should be to communicate with our parents, should be for preparation, marking, administrative duties, and also for their own professional self-development. What I also wish to state is that there will be no new reforms. The current curriculum that is in place has been a reform already over the past now 8 years. So that in itself is a reform. What we all need as a system now to do is to ensure that the preconditions for the implementation of the curriculum, that should be in place. So as a government, we also need to look into many more teachers for pre-primary, so that we have a bigger cohort of pre-primary learners coming into our system. And as a government, we also have to ensure that teachers have a manageable load, not just in terms of the curriculum that is manageable to them, but also in terms of the classroom situation, that they have the average ratio of children in the classroom. So those are certain things, and then of course the commitment and the preparedness from the teachers. But I think we can. I'm very optimistic for the year 2023. It's a new beginning for all of us, and we can only make the best of it in the positions in which we are.
All right. Now, talk to us about the elements involved in guiding schools to bounce back, to achieve better results, in challenges that will probably occur during the year 2023.
So I think in every job, we all have a performance that we work towards. We all have goals and targets that we work towards. And it will not be the first time, and the nation should know that the regions or the ministry at head office and in the regions and at school level are taking stock of what went very well and what are to be improved, what our main weaknesses are. So every region is having a response improvement plan. Secondly, every region is making an assessment of not just the academic results, but also the situation in terms of organizational management at a school level, the culture at a school, the principal and his role as an instructive, effective and instructional leader. We are looking at context-based solutions for what went wrong. There are certain things that do not cost us money. I want to focus on them. First and foremost, it is absolutely critical that we do a subject analysis and that teachers have a one-on-one discussion with the principal as to what went wrong in their target setting, why couldn't they meet the target, and then work to set new targets with the learners. While the teacher, and we encourage that a lot, we should shed the fear or the pride that consume us to make an acknowledgement that we can rely on others to support us where the need is. So there must be collaborative efforts, peer teaching exchanges of ideas, discussions around topics which we find difficult. And then there's the examiner's report. The examiner's report is a report that is produced every single year per subject on NSSEO and AS level that give us the idea and the depth and the insight of what kind of responses did learners give in the subjects. And that will give us an idea also of where we should improve on. So those are some of the things that we need to do at a school level. And if we all work towards that, while the policymakers and while we as the ministry look in terms of the resource allocation to specific areas, the filling of HOD positions in a much more efficient, timely and effective manner, the creation of HOD positions, the senior education officials. This year there will be a lot of emphasis on the roles of the senior education officer in providing the professional support to our teachers and having effective communication and guidelines around the subjects to the teachers.
All right. Now, Ms. Steenkamp, there is a big question around the fate of some of the 30,000 learners who cannot progress to AS level and do not qualify for degree programs at tertiary institutions. What are some of the avenues that exist to help out these 30,000 learners?
Thank you so much. I'm so happy on your choice of words. What I fail to understand is many a times how the use of terminology, especially in the media, is used to sensationalize things. We don't talk about failures. 30,000 children did not fail. There are many of them who did not meet the requirement for specific entry admission into a particular institution. You may not have met the requirements for a university degree, but many of them meet the requirements for a diploma or a certificate. Look, the ideal system is to have an efficient education system where all children will have an opportunity not just to go to university, but to go to VTCs, to go to institutions where they will be qualifying themselves in various careers. So the notion is that, and we need to revisit this, we look at 25 points in 5 subjects or 25 points in 6 subjects. And then you have a cutoff, and then we stop reporting about the possibilities of the other children who have up to 20 points. You know, if you have 8 points and 15 points, it is just very clear that you need to improve your marks. So what are the avenues? For 18 years and younger, should there be spaces in schools? In the current situation, we will have these learners, NSSEO, back into school.
For those that are 18 years and
18
younger.
years and younger.
Okay.
For those who have done NSSEO or improved their marks, and wish to continue with AS, we will also have them back into the formal system. So there are some degrees definitely of a second chance. And then we have, I've seen IUM, we've heard about IUM, we know about NAMCO, and 23 other private institutions that offer a chance for children to go back. Now, it is important that we, as candidates who are striving towards improving their life with the parents and the support of government, that we take on that chance. Last year, we invested a considerable amount of money, and we will do it again with NAMCOL, to give children a chance, a second chance. And our only appeal is that there will be ownership, and that they take a strong sense of accountability and responsibility for their own learning, and that they'll use that opportunity. So it is not all lost in the system. Mm-hmm. Yes, we do admit it shouldn't have been the case that many learners are ungraded or many learners have very poor symbols. That should not be the aim. And we always say in the system, we should get the teaching right first time, so that we only have a few learners who need to repeat, and not bring in a cohort of repeaters into the system that will now take the much needed resources of those who are actually supposed to be entering the system at a pre-primary level.
All right. Now, there is information circulating on social media that schools are also supposed to be starting on the 16th of January. Where did that confusion come from?
You know, social media. I'm not blaming just social media. I'm blaming people who irresponsibly and maliciously circulate in efforts to sabotage or to bring confusion. When we send out, and we've started to do it now because we find that sometimes information is leaked prematurely. We are addressing that internally. However, we have now got to, when we do discussions after the consultations on the calendar, we now have resorted to put the stamp and the date stamp of the minister, mm-hmm. the signature, the paraphrasing of the minister paraphrasing on the calendar, and that is the one that is official and circulating. So I want to tell parents, I know by now everybody has got what they need to get. Mm-hmm. The schools are starting on the 11th. We've got 96 days, all of us collectively as role players and stakeholders, to see to it that we make the best of the first semester.
All right. Ms. Sanet Steenkamp, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We wish you all the best, and we are so excited for tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
All right. Sanet Steenkamp, who is the Executive Director in the Ministry of Education, Arts and Culture, talking to us there about school. And it is starting tomorrow, the 11th of December. And for first term, we do have 96 days of the academic year. So it's definitely something to look forward to.